Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Fox with WESH 2 News and WESH.com, and this is another in our series of debates for this primary leading up to August 23rd in Central Florida, focusing on the races that voters are interested about. And of course, we'll be making decisions in the coming weeks. The district we're talking about now is Congress District 10. We're talking to the Republican candidates in that primary. The district cuts across Orange County from Orlo Vista, Oak Ridge, and the Dr. Phillips area to UCF, Lake Pickett, and Wedgefield, and includes much of Orlando. The candidates in this primary are La Teresa Jones, Tuan Lee, Thuy Loh, Peter Weed, Calvin Wimbish, and Willie Montague. And we did extend an invitation to this debate to Mr. Montague, and he declined. The winner, August 23rd, will go up against the winner of the Democratic primary in this district and two independent candidates, Jason Hollick and Yusha Jain, in the November general election. First, I'll give each of you 1 minute to tell us a little bit about yourself, perhaps your experience, why you're running, and why you think voters should vote for you. And we'll begin with Ms. Jones. 1 minute, please.
I'm Latresa L.A. Jones, and I am the best candidate because I know how to get across the finish line. Not just that, I know how to take care of the community. I don't like to use the word activist, but I'm a mother, I'm a grandmother. My husband's a retired deputy sheriff out of West Palm Beach. I have a grandmother that died at 122 years old in this country that we built. So I have an obligation and a responsibility. I am a grounds person. I go into the community. I didn't just start yesterday. I feed the people when they're hungry. I provide services, as many as I possibly can, jobs as well to the community and opportunity. Can I say that I'm no better than anybody else, but I am willing to do the work because I do have the experience, the energy, and the time. And I have grandchildren. I actually have 9 of them. And I want to fight for this country and leave a legacy, not just for my grandkids, but the generations to come.
Thank you very much. Mr. Tuan Lee, 1 minute, please.
My name is Tuan Lee. I grew up in Pine Hill, Orlando, Pine Hill, and I graduated from Evan High School. And I got my engineering degree at UCF, Gold Knight, and my master MBA degree at Strayer University. And I'm running for my hometown, my district here, right here. And my hometown is in a bad shape because we has been elected for the billboard just popular instead of the actual qualify for the position. And I will tell you about my qualification. I am an engineer, electrical engineer, wastewater engineer, oil and gas engineer. I am a cybersecurity analyst and IT specialist. I own multiple restaurant businesses and a real estate firm, an engineering firm, and my engineer is a prime contract for NASA. And I also am an advisor for Department of Defense in a high level of security clearance. I serve as environmental advisor board for City of Titusville. And, I can talk more about my qualification, but my family is here legally, and we want to protect our country with the fan. We have to have the war happen. And I know I have a lot to bring to the table, from business to technical and from cybersecurity, how to protect our country and bring the job back to America. So that is what I bring to the table.
All right, very good. Ms. Loh, 1 minute, please.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Thuy Loh. I'm a candidate for U.S. Congress in the Florida District 10. My family called Orlando home almost 50 years ago when a church in Winter Park sponsored our family out of a refugee camp at Eglin Air Force Base. We came to America as legal immigrants with nothing but the clothing on our back when we were airlifted out of Saigon on that last flight, April 30th, 1975. My father fought side by side with Americans' brothers in arms as reconnaissance officer. He realized that the South Vietnam was falling to the communist army. So he did everything he could to get his family out of the communism and away from socialism. I am a product of American dream, watching my parents work very hard with multiple jobs when we came to America. They saved enough money after and built and bought our first house in Orlando after just a few years. I learned to speak English at Hillcrest Elementary School. I graduated from Edgewater High School, and I eventually got a degree from UCF, University of Central Florida. Today, I just want to give back to my community and this country that have given us so much. And I want to avail that opportunities for others who can live the American dream.
All right, very good. Mr. Weed, tell us a little bit about yourself. 1 minute, please.
Sure. My name is Peter Weed, running for Congress in District 10 here. And I moved to the area in 1978 from Connecticut, where I was born and raised. Been here over 40 years. I've been involved in the business community for over 30 years. And I have done a lot of things in the community and with the community. The reason that I would make a good congressman in the area is because of the things that I've done in the area. When I speak to the people here, they remember me from 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, the things that I've done here. What I've done is taken people and helped them to build a better life. And that's exactly what I want to continue doing from Congress. We are in a bad situation with our country right now. We need people that know how to get to the root of the problems, the root of the issues, and fix the problems, implement the solutions, and make life better again for all of us. And that's why I'm running for Congress.
Thank you very much. And let's wrap this introductory portion of our debate up with Mr. Wimbish. Go ahead, 1 minute, please.
Yes, good evening, good morning. Thank you very much. I'm a Christian conservative constitutionalist, number one, with common sense. I'm gonna call myself an American first because I've lived all over the country and the world. I've served in the military for over 33 years, and as a Green Beret, as a paratrooper, as military intelligence officer. And I was flying helicopters for many of those people that came into the country during the Vietnam War. And I continue to do so and work with the special forces in Iraq, Afghanistan. And I'm ready to give my life for my country, because what I saw around the world, we do not need that suffering that is there. We don't need it here in America. I'm determined to go and represent the voice of the people in Congress to make sure that what they elect me to do will be carried through in that capacity. I believe in America first. And as a Christian conservative and constitutionalist, we cannot let our country continue to lose its moral compass by allowing those who are not competent enough to lead us in the right direction to turn us around. So I want to be the person that will listen and do as I say, and say as I do for the people of Orange County District 10.
All right, thank you very much. I want to help the voter here. I mean, we have a large field of candidates in this primary. And so voters are going to be trying, Republican voters are going to be trying in District 10 to separate you guys and gals and try to figure out who they want to support. So this first question is really important. We'll start with Mr. Wimbish. Talk to me about your leadership ability, number one. Number two, the first bill you would file. And number three, how you are most different from the other candidates.
I've been able to lead both men and women in the military for 33 years, but I also have been in corporate America as a leader and as a business manager in several Fortune 100 companies. I've managed resources, people, and time effectively and efficiently that my skills were drawn upon to take the lead, especially in combat, so that I can take those men into combat and bring them back safely. I have never wavered from what I was ordered to do or charged to do. I make a commitment and I follow through in those actions every time. I believe that what I've been able to use as my transferable skills from the military, corporate America, and even as an educator, I was a school teacher for 5 years at two different counties here in Florida, both in Lee County as well as in Seminole County. And I was able to teach the values that are missing. More importantly, of all things, integrity. And that's what's missing in those who say what they want to do, but never follow through when they are elected into office. I want to be the person that people can look to and believe in and achieve. One of the most important things that I bring is that the Constitution is our value, our platform for which we must springboard into the future. We cannot keep holding.
All right, and Mr. Wimbish, again, I want everyone to try to keep their responses to a minute or under. And I don't think we got to the part where you also told us what is the first bill you would file and why. So I'm going to give everybody 2 minutes and just split this question apart. If you can answer that part, then we'll move on.
The first bill I would do is first of all, let's make sure that the values that we need in terms of our education is very important and knowledge is powerful. And I see that the Department of Education has not given us the values that we wanted. Education ought to be managed at the state level. I will pass a bill. I will work towards making sure that, one, we get that power out of the federal level and back to the states. So states can decide, and so parents can have the choice in terms of what school they want to go. If they want a school choice, they want a homeschool, they want to go with a Christian school or even virtual school. But the bottom line, the money follows the child and not be put into a bucket where no child can have that education.
All right, very good. Mr. Weed, so on the first part of that, I'll give you a minute to tell me about how you, both your leadership style and how you're different from these other candidates, and then we'll move on to the first bill you would file. Go ahead.
Sure. Being a business owner is more than just a job. Obviously, you start from conception and you build a business from scratch, and there's a lot of different things that you have to do included in making a successful business. I've done this many different times in many different fields. I separate myself from the others with the fact that I have owned restaurants. I have been in the transportation and trucking business. I have been in the film production business. I have been in construction, both residential and commercial. So I relate to a lot of different average people, not just individually, but in how to help other people to be successful in all of these fields.
So talk to me about the first bill you would file.
Well, the first bill that I would file is to open drilling in ANWR. Anybody who understands how large Alaska is, which is more than twice the size of Texas, which is huge, understands that we could safely and productively drill in ANWR, which has the largest oil deposits in the entire world, and help to bring our cost of fuel back down. Everything in our economy is based on the cost of fuel, and that's why people are suffering so drastically right now.
Okay, we're going to be talking more about both fuel and the economy here a little bit later on too. Ms. Lowe, go ahead. First of all, a minute or less, if you can. How are you different in what your leadership style would be if you're elected?
Well, I consider myself as a pragmatic, and I could also consider myself as someone who will get things done. And I want to make sure that I am going to be able to work with the others in Congress to fix the mess that we're in today. The biggest problem that we see with the Democratic Party is there's no communication, and there's not even a correlation between President Biden and the Democratic Party. And this is something that we need to fix. If we're going to move America forward, and if we're going to polish that shiny city on the hill, we got to work together on issues that are important to the Americans so we can promote a better quality of lives and put more money in pocketbooks.
And so what is your most important issue? What's the first bill you would file?
Well, look at where we are today. Economic is a huge issue right now. There are so many Americans who are hurting. They're struggling to make ends meet, to buy food for their table. And one of the biggest problems that I see is, and I would agree with the other candidate, that we got to look at reopening the XL pipeline to make sure that we can be energy independent and make sure that we are responsible with producing fossil fuel. And I realized that there's other conversation about other type of energy, natural, like solar and wind, but we're so far away from that kind of technology. So we got to do what we have at the moment, and that is our pipelines.
All right, Tuan Lee, how are you most different from the other candidates in this race to try to help Republican voters make a decision in District 10?
I think I'm far apart from everybody because I have a most qualification because I own multiple different business from restaurant, hospitality, engineering, construction, and I involved with a lot of high scale level of engineering management at Kennedy Space Center. I have a lot of experience to bring to the table what to do for our economic and what to fix our economic, because I'm growing up in a poor family, growing up picking up trash into where I am, and I leadership of automation industry. And I also different than all of you, other candidates, because I'm good to solve the problem, including during the COVID. I come up with a solution to have with a solution that create job for students during the COVID. When everybody shut down, I come up with a mentorship program to bring college students who graduate without a job and help them with 20 different projects that set me apart, far apart from everybody when all the companies tried to shut down. And I had all the restaurants open during COVID, and I have construction work during the COVID. And my first bill that I bring to America is bring the manufacturer back to the USA, because this is, we have to, we cannot depend on other country for our supply, and we cannot depend on our country for all the product right here in the US. And we need job, and we need trade school. We need better education system, because we need a trade school to train people to manufacture. And we have to bring the independence gas back, because I have experience in oil and gas industry. So that's why it's making me set far apart from everybody. I'm bringing a real experience and real work from labor work, construction, roof crash, restaurant, all the way to cybersecurity.
All right. I think that's 2 minutes, Mr. Twanley. Thank you. Okay. Ms. Jones, first of all, how are you most different, and how would you be different in your leadership style if elected?
Well, I can't necessarily say I'm most different, because I think God creates everybody in their own image. That's the first thing. The second thing is that I have the experience as far as, not only am I a mother and I'm a grandmother, I come from a city called Detroit, Michigan. So I see what the downfall is, and I know what we need to do to make sure that Orlando does not look like a Detroit, Michigan. My experience, my family come from a background of entrepreneurs. We had gas stations. That's how I learned how to count, working in the family business. I have had my own business. I was one of the first Black women to open up a cigar shop in the United States as well. So my experience speaks for itself. And not only do I do business to grow my business, I also do business whereas I am able to help a lot of the other youth in the community, especially in Pine Hills. I have an organization called Grandmas for the Generations. I take youth out of the community and provide them with training and jobs across the country with on the conservative side. I do. These kids are exposed.
Would that relate to the first bill you would file? What would be the first bill you would file?
No, the first bill I'm going to file is housing. Orlando needs affordable housing. People truly are hurting, but if we look at the senior citizens, most of them are paying $1,500 to $1,800 on a fixed income. You have small families. We have to start building families and taking care of families. So the first bill I would file would be affordable housing. And we have plenty of land in District 10 where we can build an entire community of affordable housing for not only families, for veterans, and for seniors.
All right, I'm going to move on to something, obviously much news made last week. We're going to tackle the first bit of news I want to talk about. The president just signed the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act, which had 14 Republicans in the House, 15 Republicans in the Senate voting for it. It requires deeper background checks for those under 21, allots $750 million to help states implement red flag laws, and it eliminates the so-called boyfriend loophole so that people who are convicted of domestic crimes are not able to purchase firearms. First of all, I want to know if you support this and whether you would go even farther, or if you're elected, if you would try to peel back some of these new restrictions that are now the law. Ms. Lowe, we'll start with you.
I definitely do not support the red flag law, because what it does is that it's take away the constitutional rights of folks, and it's predetermined the person and restrict them from getting firearms. So if you have an issue with your neighbor, and your neighbor decided to call on you and complain that you have some type of a personality issue, immediately you would lose that rights, that Second Amendment rights. And so, red flag laws does not give individuals opportunities to express themselves, and does not give to defend themselves. So absolutely, I would peel back on the red flag law.
Mr. Twanley, your thoughts on this new law?
Okay, so if someone had a red flag, call law enforcement and let them address it. I don't take away a people right. People vote me for into the office to do what I have to do to protect our country. But if that red flag has become a problem, call the local law enforcement to take care of it.
Okay, Ms. Jones, your thoughts on this new law, and it goes beyond just helping states implement red flag laws. It has other provisions in it. Do you support some, one, or none of them?
I don't support any of it. First of all, you have to be 18 years old to go to war for this country, like many people have over the years. So when we start getting into age limits, that becomes a problem for me. When we start putting so much meat into one bill in reference to domestic violence has to be addressed accordingly. These gun laws that they are creating are not going to stop people that want to get a gun from shooting someone. It's not going to stop violence in schools either. It's not going to do any of those things. For example, in Detroit, we had years ago, they put up metal detectors and two guards at every entrance that came in. We've not had any shootings. Something so simple. And when we start talking about putting limitations on the type of guns people can buy, who can purchase a gun, I have a concern with that. I think we have to reevaluate all of these bills. I would not support it, and I don't support it, considering I came from a domestic violence. And, we have to follow the rules we already have in place, not constantly stack bill on top of bill on top of bill. And that's my stance on it.
All right, Mr. Wimbish, what are your thoughts on this? Do you support any or all of it?
I don't support the red flag portion, let alone the domestic violence. This bill that has gone to the White House was predicated on what we all saw that happened in Texas. Second Amendment protects every American citizen to protect themselves. And for someone to say they think you have a problem, to call law enforcement or have your weapon taken away from you, you haven't done anything other than an accusation. That is not the foundation. Too many of these bills have gone forward based on emotion and not looking at the rational aspect. And many of the gun violences are not coming from good American citizens who purchase weapons and for their protection. Many of those guns, those rifles, these crimes are being committed by people who get guns illegally. If we have stopped the border and got it and closed it, many of the guns that are coming into the hands of criminals and violence in homes are not being used by people who are honoring the Constitution and the country. I will not support that. And as far as domestic violence, I grew up in Baltimore City back in the 60s when it was really tough. And it is still tough even today. And all of it starts in the home. And that's why I said about education early. When we start making sure that we have a full home where you have a father and a mother who's loving to those children, they will not grow up and be influenced by the outside community that causes them to think the only way they can make it is through taking advantage of others. I would tear that bill apart, that law apart, and redesign it where the fairness and rational thinking is applied to how we decide on what is constitutionally sound at the federal as well as the state level.
All right, thank you very much. Mr. Weed, let's wrap up this discussion. What are your thoughts on the new law and whether you support some or all of it or none of it?
Well, I think that the way it's written needs to be redone. There are certain parts of it that I can agree with, but other parts that I don't. The actual issue is the problem of shooting, school shootings, mass shootings. And why is that happening? It's happening because we've lost the nuclear family. We have 18 million, I said 18 million children growing up in homes right now without fathers. When I was a kid, we learned that, guns were to be respected. There was gun safety taught as children. That's not happening these days. You give a 5-year-old a video game and he gains points by killing more people. And then that child gets disturbed, grows up 18, buys a gun and wants to shoot up a school. We need to address the actual roots and causes of the issues and not so much argue over whether it's okay to buy a gun at 18 or 21.
I want to move on to the other news of the week as we're recording this debate. The Supreme Court has overturned Roe versus Wade. In a lot of states, that's causing trigger laws that have now banned abortion. As we record this debate, I think the latest figure is 7 states now have outlawed abortion because they had trigger laws in place. There's some discussion about a future federal law that would prevent states from implementing any legalization of abortion. And I'm wondering if that's something that any of you or all of you support, and why. Let's begin with Ms. Jones. First of all, would you go that far, or do you think it's okay for states to continue to set their own abortion laws?
I personally think it's okay for states to set their own abortion laws, because I don't want to take anyone's choice away. And I want to talk about these abortions. For me, I am a product of rape. Many of our parents were raped over the years, to be honest, especially coming out of the history that we came out of. And I think if my mother in 1963 in Michigan, what they had when girls got pregnant out of wedlock, they had schools for pregnant girls. And that's where they went, and they went to school, and most of the families took the children. And I was one of those children that my grandmother took in and raised as well, because we kept our children in our homes. So I think that we have to continue to give power back to the state, because each state can address the needs of their constituents as they should be.
So again, to clarify, right now we have Florida attempting to begin a 15-week abortion ban with no exceptions for rape or incest. What are your thoughts on that law?
Well, I think that it's going to be about what the people want. And as far as, and I think that I support Governor DeSantis and his leadership. I support our legislation as well and their leadership, because I think that we can save a lot of lives. We can definitely save a lot of lives. Okay. I do believe, and I will say it, life starts at conception, but that's my belief. And I think it should be the majority over the minority.
Okay, Mr. Weed, your thoughts on the potential for a discussion of a federal law that would prevent states from implementing any kind of laws legalizing abortion, or are you fine with states handling that?
I'm very fine with states handling that. Again, I'm a conservative Christian. I believe life begins at conception. I do believe from the womb to the tomb. Having said that, I also believe that in certain cases where a woman's life is at danger or something to that effect, that exceptions should be allowed and made in those cases.
Okay, that wasn't a bell. Do you want to continue, or you're done?
No, I was done.
You're done. Okay, very much. Thank you. Mr. Wimbish, please continue on this. Okay for the states to continue to implement their own abortion laws, or if elected, would you support a federal law that would prevent states from implementing any abortion laws?
Well, first of all, the Constitution, which I always carry with me, I never addressed anything about that. States have the power, and they should, because the states designed, when the Constitution was formed, the federal government, not only to listen to what the states do, but let the states make a decision. I believe that when the heart starts and the heart stops, life begins and life ends. I heard many different variations. Well, the brain keeps working and blood keeps flowing. But when you hear a heartbeat for the first time, it rushes. You can't even count the rhythm of the beats within 5 weeks. Then when you die, the doctors normally pronounce you dead when your heart stops. Yeah, they might resuscitate you, but in all cases, life begins when the heart starts and life ends when the heart ends. I believe that the child, which is voiceless, has a right to life. And those men and women who choose to have, or maybe if I'm error, have a child, they ought to give that voiceless child the right of passage. Let the child be born. Millions of Americans go around the world adopting children every day. And we are letting millions of children, 60 million babies have been murdered. Many of them have been in the Black community for the laws that have been in place. We need to make sure that if the states have the guts and the belief that they have the power, they need to institute a law that'll be fair to all, both the born, the unborn who's in the tomb. Let the child be born so that that child can have a life. And this week, there were 2 people that were on news. One was a product of a rape. The other was a product of incest. And another was also a product of near abortion. and all are grown men and women who are thanking God that they've had the chance to live. We need to think about that when it comes to abortion.
So I want to, before I move on to the next candidate, I want to clarify. So you said life begins when a heartbeat can be detected. So you do not believe that life begins at conception?
I believe that conception, when you say conception, when you look at the biology, and people can argue the biology of it, but when there is when the cells of the male and the female, the X and Y, the chromosome and the egg comes together, it is forming life. And when there is life that now is viable, then the heart is the first indicator that we have life. Now, conception, some people say, well, the moment that inkling happens, there's a big flash. That might be true. I am not God, but we shouldn't be God in trying to take life in the womb. Every life, once it is created, ought to have the right to come into the world, whether it lives for 1 minute or 122 years, like Miss Jones' grandmother. And in that case, we need to let life be.
Okay, Mr. Tuan Lee, your thoughts on both the overturning of Roe v. Wade, and maybe you have some comment on how you would address abortion law if you're elected.
Well, the Congress has 50 years to write abortion law, and they had failed. So the abortion law should be in the state. Each state have to have their own law. And the government closest to the pupil is the most effective. And the term abortion is too broad, and we need to be better define for it. Removing the tubal pregnancy should not be defined as abortion, but it currently is. So now, people have 15 weeks is too long. If they accidentally happen, they have 4 to 8 weeks to take care of it. 15 weeks is become a baby already. I don't want to abortion any pregnancy at all. So if they want to do something, the woman have 30 days of when they find out they lost their period within 30 days. So which is 4 weeks. And I give them give and take. They might be go to the hospital and stuff like that. So they have 8 weeks. So 8 weeks or less. 15 is too long, but I do support Ron DeSantis. But that is my definition. The state have to handle that. And I don't want to wait for it's big to cause a pregnancy remove because it's too late.
So at least in Florida, and again, you're running for a congressional seat, so you wouldn't have a say over that. But you're saying in Florida, you think 15 weeks as an abortion ban is actually too long. You would want it to be less, like 6 or 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Lowe, your thoughts on the overturning of Roe v. Wade and what you would do, if anything, in regard to abortion if you were elected?
Well, let me just first say that I was born and raised as Roman Catholic, and as Catholic Christians, we believe that life is sacred and it starts from conception to death, and taking any innocent human life, whether they're born or unborn, should be and is immoral. I am a mother, a pro-family and a pro-life candidate. So therefore, I do support the Supreme Court decisions to overturn Roe versus Wade. And the reason why the court did that, to overturn it and send it back to state, because the state's rights are protected under the 10th Amendment. And such a decision should be back to the state and the people who live in that state for their decision. With that said, I think that is really important, and I think that it's incumbent upon Republicans to demonstrate that we do care for women's health. The physical safety and of the health of a woman and a baby is and should be the utmost important. And we need to expand health care and counseling services for pregnant mothers, not only for those wanted, but also unwanted pregnancies. We need to do more to protect the safety of mothers and also the unborn child. It is our responsibility to do that. And we need to look for ways and means to expand services in communities that is not available to pregnant women at the moment.
All right, we're going to pivot to the economy and we're going to wrap up here before closing statements. I want to talk about the number one concern according to most recent polls, and that is the fact that interest is going up. Homes are becoming more expensive. Rental homes are becoming more expensive in Orange County alone, up 25% in the past year. I want you to focus on what you would do if you're sent to DC to help not only the people in Orange County District 10, but also nationally to address these issues with the economy that have people spending more on everything from food to a place to live. And we'll start with Mr. Wimbish.
Yes, I think you hit the nail on the head. All of the things that we talked about in terms of the economy that's impacting us, from inflation, oil, gas, food, all of those things are really out of line. When I go to Congress, one of the first things I would do is, like was said earlier, we will turn that oil back on, both in ANWR, both in Keystone, and we get the fracking back going so we can get the gas and oil prices down. We've got so many ships off on the coast right now that are gridlocked because we can't even get the containers off the ships to the stores for the people to have food. So the stores now are suffering with levels of food to have available to people. And you have to spend for a gallon of gas, it's almost the same as a gallon of milk. That is ridiculous. I would work to make sure we stop increasing taxes and stop printing money like it's candy. And let's start looking at how we can better manage the resources and time that we have. I would give it back to the states to start doing other things, like making sure that the factories that they've been outsourcing come back to the states. And I will work to make sure that we as a federal government don't overcommit ourselves to foreign nations, many of which who hate us, and we have to turn to them like we're doing right now for oil and resources. There's a way to bring this together, and I will work to make that happen.
Mr. Tuan Lee, you talked about being a business owner. I mean, what could you do on a federal level, and what would help in particular District 10 in Orange County? What's your plan?
Okay, so everybody talking about affordable housing, but how? A lot of people, I believe, they just say it, but I have solution for it. I have solution because I has a property investment, and I know what we have to do, how to build how with reasonable, and how to put the law that to against the big company buy out inventory and rent it out in a high price, like Zillow. Zillow is they buy themselves up a whole bunch of house and they rent it out with a high price, and working class, they cannot afford for it. So I have a solution how to build a cheap house with a house. I'm not talking about mobile home or trailer or anything like that. A house with carry category 5 wind and everything. Slab. So the house, I can start somewhere about 100,000. That's amazing, right? Because now we have a lot of technology like 3D printer across the board. You can make house from a neighborhood that really bad and turn them into affordable house. So this is where the working class, they can afford to buy a house, because right now the big company is controlled, the inventory is controlled by other country, and that's why my first bill is bring the manufacturer back into America, and that is control the price, and how we motivate people for a better a trade school, training them how to manufacture a product to reduce the cost and then we increase the inventory mass product in our hometown. So that's how you can bring the cost down, and you have the price to control for affordable for the people working class. Because I used to be poor too, and I live in a house with leaking and no cracks or anything. So I understand how people have suffered on a working class. So that's why I create job, I create opportunity. Everywhere I go, everything I do, I create job, I create opportunity for people. It's not only a working class, but it's also the high technology level as well. So now,
right, Mr. Tuan Lee, please wrap this up. Go ahead.
So now the solution is there. When I'm selecting office, I will push out the law that bring the manufacturer back, and then we pass out the law for 3D printer house, so that people can buy the house, and big corporation, they cannot buy every house in the inventory and then rent out with high price. We have to fix that problem.
All right, very good. Let's move on to Ms. Jones. Go ahead. What's your plan
right.
for tackling the economy here?
Well, I think that we're going to have to restructure this entire economy up in Washington, D.C. And the first thing, the plan is to stop spending. We will have to stop spending, period, and then reevaluate the current circumstances. We definitely have to open up the pipeline because we have enough resources in the United States of America where we can be a self-sufficient company as we should be, or organization as we should be. But I want to address this deal about the housing and why housing is so important. If people can't afford to pay their bills and they can't afford to put gas in their car and food on the table, we have a major mental health crisis that's going to happen in this country. My suggestion and what I've mapped out in my plan is for Orange County. We have an area called Bithlo that they have actually written off. Bithlo is actually an area where I feel we can build affordable housing. We can use contractors that are in Orange County and each of the counties that they live in, because they can create tiny homes for veterans. We have so many other options where we can build. And Dr. Carson, during his administration under Hood, he was pushing and he talked about we need to pay attention to the rising cost of affordable homes. And we did not do that as we did. Just like if you neglect anything else, and that's going to be the key. $100,000 for a retired person is still a lot of money to pay. $1,500, $2,000. I am 58 years old. So I see my vision is to grow in a community itself where it is a self-sufficient community, where the state owns the land. So we're able to make sure, control the pricing as well. And that is a key for me. And like I said, we have to restructure America right now. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Weed, what's your plan if you're elected?
Well, to solve a problem, you have to get to the root issue of the problem. You're going to hear a lot of people say a lot of the same things. We need affordable housing. We need the shelves on the stores to be restocked. We need to do this. We need to do that. Well, how do we do those things? To get to the root of the issue on the supply chain crisis, we have to get away from on-demand production. We slipped into not on-demand production, which has caused us to have shortages, especially with the effects of COVID adding to the problem. So we solve that problem. We get back to the old ways of warehousing and stocking. As far as affordable housing goes, if the cost of all the building materials is higher, so contractors have to pay more. So then you have to pay more. We have to bring those prices down. How do we bring those prices down? The same way we talked about earlier. We have to get back to drilling, back to self-sufficiency. We don't want to be an isolationist country, but we want to be self-sufficient. So that if we chose to, we could, but we don't want to be. And those are the ways to solve the problems.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Lowe. Let's wrap this up and then we'll get to closing. What's your plan?
Well, in terms of the high cost of oil and fuel at the moment, I think that the Biden's and the administration policies had adverse consequences on our gas price. And, we can't blame COVID forever. Under President Trump, we were at the height of the pandemic, and yet the fuel price was $2.16 when he left office. And immediately after he left office, we saw the increase in gas prices or fuel prices just escalated real quick. Before the war of Ukraine and Russia, the gas prices were sitting around $4.40. So now we're seeing the impact of the gas prices caused by Ukraine and Russia. So the first thing we need to do is reopen the XL pipeline and start producing our own resources responsibly. while we're continue to look at other energy resources. That's the first thing. The second thing is the economy. You know, the inflation. The inflation at the moment is not a natural cost of inflation, because it's not like there's a high level of supply and demand. When the cost of resources are so expensive, food prices are going up, we need that food. Where the shelves are empty because there's a lack of production. And when you look at what's going on in our farmland, when thousands of cows die because of the heat and eggs were being destroyed and chickens were being destroyed, we need to understand the problem there and how we can work to transfer natural resources from the East Coast to the West Coast, of the West Coast to the East Coast. So we got to look in being more independent with producing our own food supplies. And in terms of the rent, the housing costs, it's ridiculous how expensive it is today for renters. You know, it's a lot cheaper to buy a house, and we would love to be able to offer and afford housings, homeowners opportunities for renters out there. But of course, I understand about the the credit situation. In Orange County, they're talking about rent control, and they are going to pass, if they haven't already passed, the rent control in Orange County. That does not work. You look at New York and city like Chicago.
All right, please wrap up, Ms. Lowe. I mean, please conclude your thought and we're going to move on.
Okay, so what we need to do, if I get to elected, I want to get into a conversation with the insurance industry. A lot of homeowners have to, they have to, they have to pay these high insurance rate on their homes. And that's impact on the price of the rents and the cost associated with owning a property. So we need to talk to the insurance industry and work with them and see how we can lower the insurance rates for homeowners so we can bring down the cost of affordable housing.
All right, very good. We're going to move into closing. Each person has 1 minute. We're going to begin with Mr. Wimbish. Go ahead.
First of all, I want to thank you for the opportunity. I ask all of the people who are watching to go to votecal2022.org. Recognize several things. There are 9 things on my platform that you, the people, have told me in the weeks and months that I took to go out and raise all the petitions I needed to be on this ballot. I started in Orange County. I'm going to stay with Orange County, regardless of what happened with the redistricting. But the top 3 things that I've said is my platform is the economy, education, and energy independence. But crime is up. We know that. We need to close our border. We need to take care of veterans like me. I'm a disabled vet, but I'm going to continue to work towards finding the right solutions at the right time for the people. As a Christian conservative and a constitutionalist with common sense, I know how to apply those managerial and leadership skills and make sure I will listen to the people, be a man of my word. When I go to Congress, I will do as I say and say as I do. I will be your advocate and voice in Congress to make sure that what I do supports what the ground truth down at the grassroots level, right back in the towns and cities throughout this entire county are telling me through your local administrators, your county commissioners, your school board, and to everybody in the House and the Senate in the Tallahassee. We will work together as one team, one fight, one America, America first.
Thank you very much. Mr. Weed, 1 minute, please.
Thank you, and appreciate you having us on here, Greg. As a businessman and as a man that's raised up a lot of people in the community to success, I want to continue to do that from the inside. I've done what I can from the outside. I've helped many different people in many different instances, and it's about representing the people. It's not about me. It's not about any of these candidates. It's about you, the constituents. We are representatives of the people. We want to get term limits worked out so we don't have lifetime politicians who believe that they're ruling over the people, but representing the people. And I will do everything in my power to turn things around and to bring life back to America as it was years ago when we were a much happier and much more prosperous country. Go to weedforcongress.com and check me out. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Ms. Lowe, 1 minute, please.
Yes, my name is Thuy Loh, and I'm a candidate for Congressional District 10. I saw that shiny city on the Hill while coming to America almost 50 years ago. And today, I can no longer sit on the sideline and watch the Democrats destroying that shiny city. We need the American First policy. We need to put more money in the pockets of the American people so they can put roofs over their heads and provide food on the table for their family. Americans needs to be energy independent, and we need to promote pro-family, pro-life, and giving parents options with school choice so they can provide quality service and education for their children. I am running for Congress in my district because I want to provide the opportunity that I had for American dream. I am a solutionist. I am pragmatic woman who will get things done when I get elected to DC, and I want to work for you, my community. So I hope that I get your support and your vote on August 23rd. And please check out my web page, loveforcongress.com. And God bless you, and thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Tuan Lee, 1 minute, please.
I'm Tuan Lee, and like what you see, I have a lot of the background. I have a lot of background, and I have a lot to bring to the table. Economic is very important right now. We have to bring the manufacturer back to America, and we have to bring our economic back. With my background, I can support our government to make it happen. But on top of that, our country is not safe. China is stealing our technology. We have to protect our cybersecurity. We have to build a better technology for our military. We have to have a term limit. We have to have term limit, and we have to develop restore the education system, and we have to provide a better home solution and trust me. I want to earn a trust from you because I want to earn your vote, because I have so much background. It's make me mumble right now that what I should say first, what should I say last. And because of my diverse background, I know for sure that I can make American better, a stronger, secure border. We have to stop the illegal immigrant. We have to create a job and oil and gas industry, because my background is oil and gas industry. It's hard for me to bring everything out on here because I'm a true person. I don't want to just talk and sweet talk and sugar coat it in front of everybody that thing you cannot do, because there are so many things that I can do, and I know that I can make it happen, and I know that I can create job. I can bring a manufacturer back to America. I can make Americans safer because of attack from other country and oil and gas of independence. And we have to put a wall back for our country.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tuan Lee. And Ms. Jones, 1 minute, please.
Yes, I love this country. And you know what? I am a regular, hardworking person like anybody else. 7 children and 9 grandchildren. I'm not going to get on here and start saying I can do this and I can do that, because if you understand how Congress works, you have to have a majority vote in order to accomplish anything. And I think that's what we have to do to educate the voters. But I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm not trying to be a politician. At 58, I'm not trying to be there all my life either. I need to retire one day, but I need this to be a country that works for everybody. This needs to be a red, white, and blue country that works for us all. I'm going to take my kitchen table politics to Washington. Common sense that will represent everybody, not just a certain group of people, but everybody. And I want to show the love on how we need to work together, because you won't hear me bashing anybody. You won't hear me bashing any of the other candidates. I won't even bash the other side. He who holds the goal is always in control, but we have to fix this, and we have to get it fixed as soon as possible for the American people. We want to leave something for our generations, for these children, because this is a mess. We have to do better as human beings and as Americans, and that's what I'm going to take to Congress, my fight, my drive, my passion, and the love that somebody fought for me and gave me life. And most importantly, God has to be back in America. And I thank you, sir. I thank you for working with me and the time.
Thank you all very much. These are 5 of the candidates in the Republican primary in Congress District 10 in Orange County. This has been a WESH 2 News and WESH.com debate. The winner will go up against the winner of the Democratic primary and also 2 independent candidates, Jason Hollick and Yusha Jain, in the November general election. Thanks for watching.